This is a little bit of an unusual video for Flying Doodles, but this is an unusual circumstance. This airplane right here, it's got a very special pilot on it. He will be the youngest person to ever fly around the world solo. He's already set a world record for being the youngest person to fly across the Atlantic Ocean and the youngest person to fly across the Pacific Ocean. He has one more flight after this. He's going from Dallas to Monroe, Louisiana, which I plan to meet him there as well. And then he will officially be the youngest person at 18 years old to fly around the world solo. So let's pack up all the gear and go to the airport and meet this kid. This is Dallas Executive Airport, where Mason Andrews will be landing shortly on his way to being the youngest person ever to fly around the world. This airport's actually fairly sentimental to me. This is where I had my first job as a pilot, as a flight instructor. Back then, it was called Redbird. I didn't have to wait long, and then Mason arrived. You have to keep in mind, this kid had less than 300 hours when he set off to sail around the world. That's pretty amazing. The airport even gave him a fire truck salute on his way in. There was quite a crowd and even some media. Before we talk to Mason, let's take a look at his airplane. It's a 1975 Piper Saratoga with 310 horsepower and a normally aspirated engine. All but one of its 6 seats were removed to save weight. So now let's meet Mason Andrews.
For the past 70 plus days, I've been flying around the world in this single engine airplane for the world record for youngest person to fly solo around the world. Last year I was talking with some friends about kind of the logistics of flying across an ocean and these things, and it gave me the idea to fly across the Atlantic Ocean, and ultimately I decided to fly around the world and raise money for MedCamps. MedCamps is a summer camp in northeast Louisiana that serves kids with special needs, things like Down syndrome, the autism spectrum, spina bifida, also hearing, speech, and visual disorders. It's a summer camp for kids that wouldn't be able to go to a regular summer camp because of certain limitations, and they're able to do the exact same things and have a good time at MedCamps, and it's totally free of charge. We've raised almost $30,000 now throughout the trip, and still raising more every day. Yeah, to support MedCamps, you can go to medcamps.org. I started in paragliders, so that was about 5 years ago, but I started flying airplanes 2 years ago, or 3 years ago when I was 15 years old.
What kind of ratings do you have?
Airplane, single engine, land, and instrument rating. So I've been, well, pretty much everywhere. I flew up north through Oshkosh, the biggest air show in the world, and New York City, then across the Atlantic from St. John's, Newfoundland to Santa Maria in the Azores, then to Paris, France, which is where Charles Lindbergh completed his transatlantic crossing. Then from Paris, I flew to Italy. I had an emergency landing in Italy, actually. And from Italy, I flew to Greece, then down through Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, up to Karachi, Pakistan. A lot of times I was, I either planned or was forced to have pretty big breaks in between flights due to weather or anything else. There were a few times where I was flying a lot, and it did get pretty tiring, especially with the time changes and the fact that you're getting up really early and landing really late a lot of times. Ultimately, it wasn't so bad physiologically. That wasn't a problem. My longest leg was, I think it was from Santa Maria to Paris. That was like 12, 13 hours.
Is there any piece of equipment that you wish you'd had on the airplane that you didn't?
Like a jet, maybe. It's actually my dad's airplane, and it was sort of selected because it was available to me, but it ultimately ended up becoming one of the best planes to do this trip in as far as a single engine airplane. It's got incredible useful load, so even at max fuel, I was actually only a couple % above the maximum certificated takeoff weight. So I could fly really long distances, and it was pretty safe.
So what was the toughest part? Was it the weather, the communications, or the planning and clearances?
Definitely the weather. Yeah, it was. In fact, everybody is pretty good at communicating as far as air traffic control, especially once you get used to it. I was even surprised in some parts of the world how good they were. Like in Egypt and Saudi Arabia, I had really excellent air traffic controllers. I currently now, or in a couple days, I'll have the world record for youngest pilot to fly solo around the world, and also the youngest to fly solo across the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Hallmark Aerospace has been our big mission sponsor, and they've been incredible and insured the trip and and they're a really great company, and I'm glad to have them on board. They're out of Dallas, Texas. I'm gonna rest and stay in school, and maybe next summer try something else cool.
Mason is a remarkable young man, and it's quite the accomplishment. Even the mayor came out to see him. If you'd like to help out his charity, you can go to medcamps.org. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and leave a comment down below on what you think about Mason's accomplishment.